Hi, everybody, and welcome to the TGIF Business Networking Hangout in our new time slot, 9 a.m. Yay! Today, we've got a great show. We're going to be talking about turning your art into your business, that all elusive question of how do I get my creativity and work it so that I'm making money doing that and I don't have to take a boring day job. Our special guest today is Michelle Hedgecock, who's an incredible artist. I've known her for many years out here in the Coachella Valley, and I've been begging her to come on for about a year, and now she's here. Yay! So this is going to be a great treat. Before we introduce Michelle, I'm going to go through and introduce our panel of Peanut Gallery people down at the bottom. So Cindy, why don't you unmute yourself and give yourself a nice little introduction and tell us what you do.
Hi everyone. Awesome Friday to you all. I am a web developer, a photographer, an artist, specifically a salvage artist, writer, scuba diver, globetrotter, technology enthusiast, wildlife advocate, you name it, I do it.
Wonderful. This is going to be a Renaissance woman type of show today, I think. Next up, we have the beautiful Katie Katz, and unfortunately her sound isn't working, so I'm going to introduce her for you. So if you want to wave your hand, Katie, go ahead. Katie is Katie Katz of Bernard Katz Glass, owner of hand-blown beautiful glass artworks at bernardkatz.com. BERNARDKATZ.com. Oh, and it's right there on her screen too. Thank you for joining us, Katie, and I'll be watching for your questions and comments in the chat box. And I'm sorry your mic, we couldn't get that figured out, but next time. Okay, and next up is our featured guest for today, Michelle Hedgecock. Woohoo! And I met Michelle going back in some environmental education programs that we were both involved with. So Michelle, why don't you give us a little introduction, tell us about that a little bit, and then tell us about what made you go full swing into wanting to be the full-time artist.
Hi, well, thank you for having me, Meilani. This is very exciting to be sharing the screen with three other very, very lovely, creative ladies. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be here for what we're talking about today. A few years ago, I would have never seen this coming. So you mentioned the natural science background, the environmental education background. That's something that you and I share for sure. And that's something that's been, I think, probably a part of both of our lives since we were wee little ones. I worked at a museum, the local Palm Springs Desert Museum. When it was the Desert Museum, it's now an art museum. And part of that story is what got me to where I'm at today. And, you know, my parents and my entire family, they raised me. I was kind of we teased that I was a free-range child because I had free range of the entire desert at my disposal. Back then, you could let your kids run around and not really worry about the two-legged creatures out there. So I really had some unique and probably very lucky encounters with wildlife and plant life. And my parents have just always encouraged the creative side, no matter what I showed interest in, from photography to interior design to stained glass to you name it. My parents would, happily throw me in a class about it, which I loved, and that was beginning at very young ages, from elementary school on. So the person that I am today, combining the creativity and the nature, I owe a lot of thanks to that, for having parents that just welcomed it and made it a huge part of my life growing up and just part of our lifestyle.
Awesome. And just in case Mom Laura is watching, hi Laura. I love your mom. She's awesome. And I want to say also, you're what's known as, out here we locals call these folks desert rats.
Yes, proud of it too.
Yeah, desert rats are wonderful. We love them. Yeah. I see a piece of your found art hanging on the wall behind you there, Michelle. Tell me a little bit about this found art stuff.
Oh, the spiky ball? That one?
Yeah.
I can show you the smaller one up close.
Okay.
that this is one of those examples of kind of an idea that I had in my head, but it's not one I could really offer to the public because it's really dangerously pointy. And it fell on my foot the other night and punctured a hole into my toe, so I can vouch for that.
Oh, how?
But I love it as an idea. I have this dream of going big with sculptures or paintings, so I thought, wouldn't this be a fun prototype? It's using can lids, because I love to use can lids as part of my signature element that I use in my found art, my salvage art, my fellow salvage artist there. And so this is can lids that I carefully and with leather gloves twist into these cones. And it's actually just a styrofoam ball in there, so it was something I can actually push them into versus wood or something else. So, you know, and I'm always recycling beads that I find in the thrift stores, or that are, you know, broken jewelry, or, you know, wherever this stuff comes from. Beaded curtains, who knows?
So you ladies, I'm addressing this to Cindy as well, because she's also a recycled artist or salvage artist. Now, you have been doing this for so long just out of interest, but isn't that sort of a big movement today, is doing recycled or salvage art growing in popularity, and part of that coming with environmental awareness and trying to reduce the waste stream and all that good stuff?
Was that for Cindy?
Well, it's for both of you. You go first because you're in the big team.
All right. Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I think it's being recognized a little more. Found artists, in my experience out here in the fine artist community of Coachella Valley, is not a very welcome art media, and it's sometimes can get sneak in under the label of folk art. And the farther away you get from the valley into the, like in Idlewild and in the high desert, it's a much more welcomed form of art, because the materials, that's where the materials are found.
Right.
I mean, of course, it's environmentally friendly. It's just a great way to repurpose and recycle and get things out of the trash, out of the wildlands areas. My only downfall that I have personally experienced as wearing that particular art hat is that when people come and see my work that covers a wide spectrum, I often hear comments like, oh, we have that at home. Oh, I can make that. Oh, my gosh, those are just can lids. And so it's very deceiving, because here I just gave that person the creative idea, so to speak. And it's a very, you know, frustrating push-pull on my end. I wonder if Cindy has experienced the same thing. There's a whole other, a smaller group of people that appreciate, you know, the process that it took to even visualize the outcome of that piece, or to get there, or actually to put it together. It looks oversimplified in the finished piece, I think, when you're using found materials, but it's really not.
Michelle, I want to say, as a person, just a regular. Hi, I'm Gina. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi. I just want to say, as a person that loves recycled art, I do appreciate the artistic that it takes just to do it, just to conceive of it and create it. The finished product, of course, does look great, and it may look like it's real simple, but I don't think that it is. Just as a person that loves it, I appreciate the artisticness that goes into it.
Well, and you know, I also think that they say that, and it's wonderful because I say that all the time, but then do I actually go home and make it and sit down
and do it, right?
5 or 6 hours? No, I don't. And once they do, they realize, oh, you know what, I could just go back to Michelle and buy it. So I'm not sure necessarily that that's a bad thing, and that's why a lot of people show how do they do this, how do they give their secrets away, whether it's they're an artist or a consultant for somebody else, because once people see how much time and effort it takes to create what they're creating, oftentimes they value it more. Cindy, I'm going to go to you now and get your perspective on the the found art stuff, because Michelle had a question directed to you. She wanted to hear your opinion. So do the rest of us.
I agree with everything you say, Michelle. I'm a photographer as well. My photography, my fine art photography, is considered as serious art, but my salvage art that I do is not considered serious work in I'm going to say art circles. I actually live on the border of an arts community, so a lot of times it's not considered real art or serious art, and I have been lumped into categories like folk art and urban art. I used to call what I do mixed media art,
Yeah.
and that actually offended some serious artists. So I've gone back to the term salvage art, and I think with, although I'm not a big supporter of the whole television thing and reality TV, I certainly think that TV and social sites like Instagram and Pinterest are really going a long way to actually bring what we do to the forefront and have it considered just as creative and just as artistic as other forms of art. So hopefully in the future things will change.
You know, I find it interesting that the label seems to matter so much, because when I see stuff, I just think of it as, ooh, look, it's handcrafted art. I don't think recycle art, salvage art, mixed media, whatever, just handcrafted. And to me, the most wonderful thing about it is that it's a unique piece and that it was made by somebody. And that somebody might be standing in front of me if I'm at one of the art shows. And I think that that's just really fabulous. And somebody spent their time and a lot of love making it. So you guys are saying, though, that these titles really matter. And is this kind of the difference between what you would call the art world, the people at the art museums, and when people say that, I think of like fine art paintings, you know, traditional paintings, versus just the people in the community? Michelle?
I think it's going to flow into a little bit of both, because it depends on the voice of the community. I mean, again, this is my experience in this tiny little valley. It's don't get me wrong. There's definitely an audience, a growing audience for. I like that term, salvage art. I think I'm gonna start using that if you don't mind.
Your term.
I've been using found art assembly. I've been using assemblage. I tried the mixed media thing and learned the hard way. No, don't do that. But for art shows, if you want to get into jury art shows or art fairs, or galleries or whatnot, those right now it requires you to kind of put your art into some type of category. You have to put your art in a category, and perhaps there's a need to kind of alter that, or at least add, for the fine art categories, there's so many subcategories. So perhaps with the salvage and found art, there could be subcategories for that to kind of embrace it, because there's so many different styles and so many different techniques. And sometimes art is, categorized by its technique as well. So I think that as the artists that are creating these and of the community that supports us, I think it's our job to kind of make it more of just second nature. And I have to hand it to some of the galleries and the museums out here. I have noticed kind of of course they call it as folk art or urban art, and it's kind of a novelty thing. I still get the impression of, and not just be my sensitivity to it, but they do have exhibits that everyone gets all the Twitter about. They're big drawing exhibits because it's something so different from the normal, amazing fine art that's there too. I mean, I love fine art too, but it's just so different than what we're normally seeing in the eyes of the art galleries and the art museums. So perhaps if our kind of art will bring more and more crowds, I think obviously we know that that's a big help, and that will get more airtime, so to speak, to get more, to have it taken seriously, a little more seriously.
Now, before we segue into the part where we start talking about, okay, now how did we get to start promoting yourself and start getting some income from your stuff, which will come up next, I want to encourage the audience, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A app. Click the little Q&A button on your screen, and you can submit a question there. We'll take a look at those around 9:30. And I'd also like to give Gina an opportunity to introduce herself. She came in a little late and missed that part. So Gina, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you. My name is Gina Rodkey, and I am totally different than you guys. I'm in the service area, and I'm doing bookkeeping. So I don't actually have a product to sell. I'm selling a service. And I actually do my own hangouts every week, too. So I just came on just to see what you guys were doing, just, you know, checking out something different than my normal circles and normal, you know. So I just came to say hi and to offer anything that I can to help with the business and learn from you guys what's working from you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I have a question, and that is, did you create your own Hangout overlay there? Because that's pretty nifty. I love your frame.
The frame actually, thank you, no, the frame came with my camcorder. It's a Logitech, and it was software that came with the camcorder. So I have several different frames I use. The Hangout overlay is simply the Hangout overlay from the Hangout toolbox.
The built-in. Awesome. Well, I love it. That's pretty nifty.
Thank
and
you.
I agree with Cindy. She put in chat, you're an artist with numbers.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you, Cindy. Thank you. Well, I think when I'm in with artists, we're using different brain sides. You know, you guys are on the left side, I'm on the right side, so together we make the whole thing. And we're complete and better because of the group we're in.
Awesome. I agree. Everything is an art, right? And then the real art is selling whatever it is that we're providing.
That's right. That's right.
So, Michelle, you have this beautiful banner hanging up for the Lemon Lily Festival in Idlewild. Let's start with that. I tried to bring up the picture on Facebook, but Facebook is saying technical difficulties right now. So if you could put a link to that somewhere in the chat box, I will share my screen. Okay. And I don't know if you can talk and find the link at the same time. But if you can, tell us a little bit about how did you get into kind of such a prestigious area where you've got this beautiful festival going up in Idlewild, and for the benefit of our audience, Idlewild surrounds the Coachella Valley. It's up high in the mountains, and it's this idyllic little community up in the mountains in the forest. So it's called Idlewild, and they have lots of festivals throughout the year, and a lot of them are very artsy related and very creativity related and very nature related. And Michelle has a beautiful banner hanging up in there. So she's going to tell us a little bit about that, and while she's doing that, I'm going to share my screen so you can look at it.
Oh, very cool. I am super thrilled about this because this is, for me, this is a big step in exposure for me as an artist because I started presenting or putting myself out there publicly in the art world, trying to, there it is, the bottom right is mine. You know, only a few years ago, you know, I've been creating things all my life, but actually, you know, going for it and putting myself and trying to earn a living with it has been only a couple of years. And Idlewild is a community, as Melanie mentioned, that only about 45 minutes from the desert floor, from door to door, literally. And it's a very, very wonderful art community. They have an internationally known high school that's a performing arts and music high school where they have huge names in jazz and music that put on the August festival, the Idlewild Jazz Festival. And it's a fabulous community, and everyone knows everyone. And I joined the Art Alliance up there, and it's just opened up a whole new world with me. It's the second art group I've joined as a member, and they're incredibly encouraging, and they're full of artists that are major professional artists, yet they just will embrace you and help you and encourage you and, you know, share anything you want to know. It's a very, at least my experience so far, it's a very non-competitive setting, and perhaps it's because my art is nothing on par with theirs. But I truly believe that they're very, very generous people in spirit anyways, and I don't, you know, I don't see any, I don't notice any real competitive pushing away. It's a very embracing and supportive art community, which is what I've been seeking for a while. Just, you know, for art, a community where artists will support each other and not let the egos get in there.
So you find that the on-location, the in-person networking is just as important for what you're doing. And I've seen you around town at a lot of the art festivals where artists get together and have booths. And you're now also promoting your stuff online a whole lot. So it's kind of a mixture of both. But you went and did the art festival circuit for many years before you started promoting yourself online and built your reputation up that way. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yes, definitely. I would say so. I really enjoy doing the festivals because it's a chance to have that one-on-one. And when someone is looking at your piece, that's when you can, that's your sale, you know. It's like that's when you can talk about the process in making it, or how or where you came across the materials and how that piece came about, and you can tell the story with that piece, which, you know, I love hearing from other artists. I like hearing what inspired them, what they were thinking, where the heck did they find that, you know, piece of wood, you know, or whatever. And oftentimes there's a very cool, interesting story or moving story with it. So that's my opportunity to do that. And, you know, it's always a positive experience, you know, for the artist ego, I guess.
I think it's also positive for the customer, and that's a lot of times what makes us want to buy stuff, because we meet the artist and we get to hear about the story behind it, which is as fascinating as the art piece. And I'm interested now, when you do those festivals, do you see sales from the festival day, or do you get a lot of people who it's more about they get exposed to you, maybe they don't buy that day, but then they're following your shop, they're looking at your pieces, and they become people who buy from you maybe even more than one piece as time goes on? What's your experience been for that?
That, for me, as emerging onto the scene, that's my goal. I'm not a high-profit artist. I'm not making the thousands of dollars, you know, a year with my art yet. No, I'm kidding. That obviously is a sweet goal, right? But I find that right now I value the fairs because that's where I make my sales. I think my art is not for everybody, and it's eclectic, and I benefit more from the spontaneous sale. And but what I'm doing at these shows is I have a really cool, at least I hope so, a cool looking postcard, an artist postcard that you know is attractive enough to grab. Oh, this is cool, and I don't care what they do with it, if they want to frame it or whatever. I don't care. They have it, you know. And so I will sign them up, or I'll get them, you know, to follow me on Facebook or Meetup or join the group or wherever. And then I've noticed a percentage of the people that I have been able to engage with are showing up and coming back to the fair. Oh, you know, I have a couple people that have already asked, are you going to be at the Lemon Lily Festival in July? Oh, great, I can't wait to see you. So that's really, I'm very happy about that, and I feel like it's like the foundation for growing and moving into the social media aspect of it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cindy, if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of get your perspective on that too. Do you participate in art festivals? Do you go and get the booth and show your stuff, and do you generate sales from that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I'm just on the outskirts of a major artist community. Actually, I'm kind of surrounded by artist communities. And so some of the smaller arts types events I do have a booth in, I do participate in, and that has actually been a big step for me. My girlfriend and I jointly do the salvage art, and what was happening before is we would make a piece, we'd put the info on Facebook or we'd put it on Kijiji, a couple of times we put stuff on eBay, and it wasn't actually until we did a couple of things. One is we opened up a shop on Etsy, and then we started to do some more of the not flea market-y type events, but more serious art type events. It wasn't actually until that the two of us felt that we were doing something serious, and that I think that we were taken a little bit more seriously by the local arts community. So 90% of our sales actually come from doing an event, and the other 10% is actually follow-up sales to someone who may have purchased something at an event that we did and is looking for a specific companion piece, or just something within that kind of same kind of genre. We do a variety of things. We do furniture, birdhouses, all sorts of wall hangings and that sort of thing. So it's usually, the rest of it is specifically follow-up.
Now that's interesting to me that you said companion piece. Do you actually market your stuff as, hey, this would be a great companion piece to this?
We do for a few things. We've got some, I have a thing for metal, so wrought iron, cast iron, anything like that. So we document what it is that we create, materials that where we found the individual items, materials that we use to finish the item, like right down to color, numbers, and the whole works, because I'm an obsessive creative personality. And then when we make a sale, if we find something similar that we refinish, we will sometimes specifically say on Facebook, tag that person to say, oh, look at this other item that we created that's similar. And so often we will get that person contacting us because they want to hang, say, a wall art in a group of 3.
Right, yeah.
Often we'll be able to say, okay, well, we did this originally for you, and we've got these 2 other pieces that we think will work well together.
Wow, that's really great. Thank you, Gina, who just left. Yeah, just want to say thanks for coming in, and I hope to see you again. But Cindy, that is really fabulous. Let me ask Michelle, go back to Michelle, is that something that you have tried yet, or is that a new tip that we're learning today here on TGIF?
I think it's a great tip, a great idea. I mean, there are definitely some people that I will note in a post that I know will like a particular something. So I think it's a great idea to, you have to be, there's a lot of artists out there that are uncomfortable with promoting themselves, even though we might be promoting our art, which is very much us, but we feel like, oh, I shouldn't be, assuming everyone wants this, but you kind of have to get over that hurdle and just go with it and not even think of it that way. Just be excited about your art and be like, oh, well, they bought this, well, maybe they like this too. And I think that Cindy nailed it on the head. I mean, definitely you would add that person to that post or something. I sure would appreciate it if I bought from somebody and they put up something similar. I mean, that would make me feel like, oh my gosh, first of all, they remembered me, and they remembered, the sale, which makes me feel good, and they're thinking of me when they made this piece in a way, so I think it's a win-win. I think it's a great tip.
On that note, I'm actually going to show my screen here. Michelle has these these are one of my favorite things. I love this insects that she makes from junk that she finds out in the desert. And that's kind of a perfect example of where you could do that, because if somebody buys one of these and you make several, those are great little companion pieces. And when, one's just not enough. Look how great they look in a row there.
I was hoping that people would see them that way. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen because now I'm going to go into the Q&A app and see if anybody has any questions. So anybody out there who has questions, please go ahead and click on that Q&A. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, Katie's in there. Katie says, so true, even in glass there is subcategories, blown glass, kiln glass, flame work glass, etc. So this is going back to when we were talking about all the different labels for art. And she agrees that the best way to get your work out there is at the art shows. For Kat's glass works, it depends on which shows we do, what their sales would be. So that sounds like it goes back a little bit to what you were saying, Cindy, about depending on how the community perceives the show and the quality of the show or professional artists in the show makes a big difference. Thank you, Katie, for contributing. I'm so sorry that you weren't able to get your mic working and I couldn't help you out, but wonderful to have you participating. Okay.
I think that's a good point, you know, with Katie and what Cindy was saying, because our stuff, if you don't mind me speaking for the three of us, I think it's best appreciated in person, too. I mean, you can, Cindy's lucky because she's a photographer and she probably knows how to photograph her work to present it online in a better way as well, because that's a huge part of getting your work online. You have to have the photography part down, and if not yourself, then get it professionally photographed, because that can be a, you know, that's it right there. But so in person, I mean, there's details in my stuff that I just can't get across online, because I have a lot of little elements going on in these pieces, like the big peace signs. There's lots of stuff to look at in those things, but you just, I mean, how many pictures am I going to post of this thing, you know? So I think that maybe that's why the choice of the art fairs and the booths are sometimes a good way to go for us to try to get a foot in the door.
Yeah. I think too, art is very much a tactile experience, and I'm a tactile person, so that's my perspective. Yeah. So I find that anything I need to kind of touch and, you know, get a feel of the materials used, and, you know, are they smooth or, you know, shiny, or how physically how heavy is the piece. So can't get that through a photo.
True.
Well, I'm going to share my screen for a moment again. If I can get my mouse to work. And we're going to look at Michelle's beautiful cover photo. Oops. Let me put my screen up there. There we go. This is another piece of art that she has done, and this is, if I'm correct, Michelle, let me know. This is one of the smaller pieces. Is this from an ATC meetup group?
This was close. It's actually a journal. It was participating in a journal page swap, and the theme was black and white and color. So there's a poem of the black and white poem, and then I embellished it with all the color on the side. So I've actually turned the page on its side to just highlight the color part of it and block the poem out. But yeah, that was a fun. I like participating in these online things. It's funny, that's a huge part of the online ATC swaps, the artist trading card swaps, and these journal pages every now and then I'll do, because it's kind of something different, you know. And it's a great way to keep the mojo going, because I'm one of those artists. It's hard for me to market myself, and I think it's hard for other people to kind of figure me out sometimes, like, what the heck kind of artist is she? Because I'm one of those people that likes to play around with lots of different expressions in media, and I kind of, you know, wave in and out of all these different, you know, ways. Like right now I've been painting, but I'm painting on street signs, so I'm trying to go back to the found art thing, but I've kind of, you know, turned into or evolved into other things, which is really hard if someone becomes a fan of yours for your butterflies and the bugs, but if you're not doing those anymore, then they're like, well, why are you doing those anymore? It's like, oh. So that's one of my challenges in marketing myself. But yeah, I try to stick my stuff anywhere I can in my profiles and my banners and in advertisements for workshops. I'll pimp my art in those parts too.
Awesome. Well, this is actually kind of a great segue into another way that you are bringing income out of your art, and that is that you're doing workshops and helping other people find their inner artist. So we mentioned the ATCs. Those are artist trading cards. They're basically just a teensy bit bigger than business card size, and you have business meetup groups where people get together and we make these ATC cards and then we trade them. Now, you don't actually charge for those, but what that does is build up a great audience for you, because now all of us, and I'm one of them, who have gone to one of those meetups are like, ooh, I'm going to do anything Michelle's doing. Any show that she's in, I'm going to go see it. And we become these like great fans, and we help really promote you word of mouth.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your current endeavor. It's something called SoulCollage. You're a SoulCollage Facilitator, it says there in your lower third. Well, what is that? What does that mean?
Can I point out my lower third right now? Would that be appropriate?
Yes.
I'm so excited about this lower third right here.
Yes, yes, I am.
It looks nice and professional, and I got to give props for Maylani with that. Maylani created that for me, and I'm super psyched. I have two from her, one for SoulCollage and one that for the other stuff, for the non-SoulCollage art side. So I'm digging that. So thank you for that, Maylani.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It just adds a whole, little professional feel there that I think helps in any of my online presence. So, but SoulCollage, yes, it's something
Thank you for the
discovered. I discovered it. Let's see, it was a year ago, 2 years ago, a year ago. I stumbled upon it online, and it was the term soul collage that piqued my interest. I was in it was in a moment of when I was seeking an outlet to grow my my intuition and my spirituality, and so this thing just resonated instantly with me. And I did a little research on it. It's an intuitive process, which is appealing to me, but it's a collage process for creativity, and that's how I primarily use it for. But it's also for an powerful tool for self-discovery, which is another whole benefit of it, and that's why you'll find soul collage being used by art therapists as well. And it's really a good process for a community as well, because there's actually people that discover soul collage and continue with soul collage making cards. It's a very fun and unique community to be a part of as well, and it's international at this point. It's all over the place, and I think it's a I signed up for the training right away. I had to wait about almost 6 months before one was available in Northern California, which, oh, poor me, had to go to Northern California. There's my meetup site. And I'm the only one out here in the Valley that is a certified facilitator and offers these workshops. And what I love about Soul Collage is that it flies right in with my mission, as far as I believe every single person out there has a creative, inner creative in there. I know we missed Gina, and she was teasing about, how she works with numbers, and I like Cindy's comment that she's creative with numbers. But I really do think that anyone that comes to one of my workshops, whether it's soul collage or we're out in nature working on something inspired by nature or trading cards, my desire is to pull that creative out of that person, because it's a tremendous outlet, and it should be a part of everyone's day, because it makes you feel good, it makes you think smart, I really believe in the power of creativity and expressing your creativity, whether it's through writing, photography, songwriting, painting, creating exciting programs for people, doing displays, it's limitless. So that's where Soul Collage really fit well with my personal mission and wanting to get more and more people just discovering their creative self. And these are cards from images from our workshops right now on the screen. And it's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughing, there's a lot of smiling, and there's kind of that joke, whatever happens in Soul Collage stays in Soul Collage. Because it also opens deep doors in a lot of us that hit us completely unexpectedly. So it's a very, it's an extremely personal journey for most people that do it and open up to it. So the space, the workshop space in Soul Collage in particular, is I'm very protective of. So because I want people to feel comfortable enough to, engage in the process. Otherwise, it's pointless.
Oops.
Sorry, I could go on and on about it, Melanie.
No, that's okay. It's we want to hear about that, and I hope people were enjoying the pictures that I was showing at the time. Now, those were from your workshops that you give, and you actually have an office space over in Rancho Mirage for the benefit of the folks in the Coachella Valley, local folks. That, in fact, you've got one coming up this Saturday. I can't wait. I'm going to come. I don't know if anybody noticed, but that was me in a couple of those pictures.
A card making, I call it Camp Soul, and it's strictly card making. There's no theme to it. And the other workshops will have a theme, and we'll go in about the theme and then create card or two about that theme. But tomorrow is all about just making cards. We're throwing music on, and we eat chocolate and
Yeah.
and Melanie,
that part's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you came to the Mother Nature one, right?
Mother, yeah.
Yeah.
So here I'm showing off the card I made.
Yeah, and look at that. It's amazing. And Melanie, I need you to scan that so I can include it on the Pinterest page because I finally updated that.
Okay. I think it's probably in my photo albums already, but
okay. I wanted to get your permission first.
Yes, you can use it anytime you want. I really like it. I had so much fun making this. And the wonderful thing about your workshops is that you don't have to be an artist to go and end up creating something like this.
No. But you've discovered that you actually are an artist when you leave because you've created this amazing card.
Right. And you've spoken about that the Soul Collage blends art with also a way to gain insight into yourself. When I go there, I don't actually think about that. I'm just there because it's relaxing and it's peaceful, and I feel so good by the time I come out just because how many of us actually take time out of our day and schedule 4 hours to sit and be creative and let those creative juices flow? But I find that afterwards, you're full of ideas and you're full of enthusiasm and you feel so calm. So I think that creativity and nurturing the creativity is really important in our lives, and we don't do it enough. So one of the things I like about the fact that she does workshops is that it makes us schedule time to do this into our schedules, and I think it's really important. But also, it helps bring money into you, right? Because you charge for the Soul Collage workshops and the materials and stuff.
Right. Soul Collage workshops are the way that I'm bringing income in, because it's so like what I think it was Gina was saying, she's providing a service, and that's what Soul Collage is. I think of it as I'm providing an experience and also a service. And I love what you said about it, your experience with it, because I think that you touched on something. I think a lot of people see creative time as a luxury, and maybe see artists as people who don't work and things like that. But it's very much work too, people. Let me tell you, we have to do the administrative side of it too if we want to, be able to, continue that lifestyle. So, the value of allowing yourself creative time, like you said, it opens up doors to even more creativity and more productivity in your other endeavors throughout your day.
And another great benefit, Michelle, is that I don't have to have an artist space set aside in my house because, you know, you saw in those pictures there was stuff spread everywhere and materials everywhere. And I don't have that kind of stuff piling up in my house. Well, maybe a little bit, but, you know. It's nice to be able to go to a space that's already there and just the entire space says be creative. And then you don't have to do as much cleaning up and figuring out where am I going to store this stuff at home, because it's all stored at Michelle's office.
That's right. That's right.
Creative space. And I know I can go back there and there's all the pictures and the glue and the glitter and beads and whatever else I want to use.
Right. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's a great, you know, I'm going to be moving these workshops online as well, because there are other facilitators in the SoulCollage community that have successfully done that, and I think that would be a natural way for me to go because I'm so eager to share it. And I'm in a community. The Coachella Valley is a very conservative area, and it's an older. It's changing, but even the younger families that are moving in are also quite conservative. Yeah. And even though SoulCollage is perfect for church groups as well and other, you know, I mean, SoulCollage runs the gamut. It's used for, you know, a lot of people create cards with like religious icons because that's part of who they are, and that's what these cards are all about. They're parts of your personality. And then they're perfect for, you know, teen work, and they're perfect for abused women, and I mean they're perfect for people who just want to be creative, feel creative, you know. So there's no limit there, and I think the audience reflects that. So I'm looking forward to being able to take. I want to keep the in-person workshops because I think it's just such a unique experience, especially with reading your cards. It just takes it to a whole new level, which is the idea. You want the cards to work for you, you know, and it's free therapy, you know.
Well, no, it is. I swear it is.
I'm not a therapist, so I'm not claiming any of that.
But it really is, because I look so forward to your workshops, Michelle. I really do, because I know that. Oh, if I'm having stress or a bad week or anything, I'm always like, oh, it's okay because I have a Michelle workshop to go to soon. And, you know, Saturday your workshop is from what, 10 to 4? And I like blocked off every hour 10 to 4. I'm like, don't bother me. I'm going to be immersing myself in this creativity stuff and rejuvenating. It's really rejuvenating. I want to go to Cindy for a minute because she's got a really great statement here in the chat box. It is therapy. You would give money to a doctor for treatment. This has more value to a person's well-being. So that's kind of what we were just saying, and loved that you said that. And how do you do workshops too, Cindy, or are you pretty much just self-therapy? What's the word? Therapizing? I don't know. Self-therapeutic.
I don't run any workshops myself. I would love to at some point, you know, work towards that. I have gone to a number of workshops within my own community, friends that I have that are artists that have run various workshops, and it is very therapeutic. It's very cathartic. I have met some incredibly warm and welcoming and energizing people, and it's that sort of thing that, you know, very much it's really good for the soul. It's really good to help you look at the world a little bit differently and feel differently about the world. And I always come back on this major buzz, this major high after any one of these kind of workshops. And I know, Michelle, I would feel the same way right after one of yours. And I'm like, I'm bouncing off the wall with, oh, I could do this. And, you know, I'm seeing things in the world that I never bothered to slow down and notice before.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. I want to go from there back to what Michelle was saying about taking SoulCollage online, because I think these Hangouts and Hangoutsonair are a perfect forum. You can create a Hangout event where everybody who can't come within local borders can watch you instructing us on what to do. With an event listing, you can post ahead of time, here's the materials you need, here's where you can go find where to buy them, and just have this stuff ready at the time, and at the time then you join in, and then you start your video feed, and you give your teaching. This is what we're doing today, and this is our theme today, and everybody gets to still, you know, hold up their stuff. Oh, this is what I'm working on. Check it out. Post their stuff to the event in photos, because you can add photos to an event listing. And afterwards, they still get to talk about it. But you're still going to get that. I know it's not the same as being in person. I still think you can get a lot of fellowship out of it. And then there's the added benefit that you can, you know, put a PayPal link right in your event listing, so people can go to the event and make their payment to come in and join in. So when are you going to start doing this, Michelle?
This is, I mean, I am quite serious about this, because now, you know, that I've been doing them in person, I of course, there's probably all my notes I've been making myself probably going to go out the window online, but but there's you know, I'm very eager to start. I need to catch up on a few of my fellow facilitators and see how they're doing it online, because I have about 5 that I want to go take for my own benefit. Like Cindy, I mean, I love that high after a creativity workshop. You know, I'm looking forward to a drawing one in Idaho this summer. You know, because I just have such a great time when I leave a workshop. But it stays with me for days, and you do feel like you could do anything, you know. But yeah, I want to. I think it would transfer actually quite nicely to a Hangout, because SoulCollage is so image driven. I can even do that mini exercise of holding up an image. I kind of thought about doing that today, but you kind of need time for that. Where you just, you know, hold up an image, even though the people aren't necessarily choosing it, but they can bring their own image, and we can share that way, which kind of gives people a little idea on how SoulCollage works once they start making their cards. So I think it would transfer very nicely. So in answer to your question, this summer, I hope to, well, gosh, that's only a couple months, isn't it?
It is this summer. We're already in summer.
Do a test run. I really do want to do a test run, and maybe 1 or 2 of them, you know, and get the meetup girls, you know, and a couple of the guys, because there are some men in SoulCollage in there. I think they'd be enthusiastic to try it out online. I mean, heck, it's so much more convenient. You know, you can't beat that. And it's just the opportunity to reach more and to grow. I really want to grow the SoulCollage community here in the desert, and it's a very slow process, because it's something new and different for people. Right. And the community that would naturally support it, kind of the holistic healing new age community, it's very small out here. So I would love the opportunity to put Desert SoulCollage on the map online as well, and become more of a.
We'll have to talk afterwards, Michelle, because you know I'm a Hangout host for hire. So I am the one you can hire to run the Hangout behind the scenes and help everybody in chat and answer questions while you're busy doing your instructing and whatever it is that you need to.
Okay, we have to do it. We have to do it. I'm serious.
Now, before we are getting close to the 10 o'clock mark, and there's a few more things I want to share with the audience of Michelle's fabulous work. So we're going to go to her Flickr page here, Michelle Hedgecock on Flickr.
Now you can see how all over the place I am with the things I like to do.
Well, I love how you incorporated your tangible 3D art piece into a 2D art piece.
Yes.
How did you make this one?
I love doing that. I love that. That is just, I have to confess, I don't have any programs on my computer. There's no room for them. But befunky.com, I have so much fun on that website where you can upload your images. And that is my little spiky ball here, this one. And I put it on a pillow. Yeah. And with a plain background just against the wall, and then I played around with it on Be Funky. I just digitally altered that because I love playing around altering photographs, you know.
That came out beautiful. I love it.
Yeah,
love
really
the colors. Okay, so
I call that piece, it reminds me of a magnified piece of pollen, so I call it macro.
Sorry, my it's running a little slow. And I love this lovely angel fairy sort of lady.
Yeah, she's actually
Now
she's
that looks
one
like.
of my, she's ended up as one of my SoulCollage. Not
Is
that
that an
particular.
embellished photograph? Is that what that is?
That is an embellished photograph.
Okay.
And that was
Beautiful.
another journal. That was another journal page swap I did. So
Oh,
it's a,
cool.
it's a 7x7. It was a very strange side. I just tore a little magazine there for her wing, and you know.
Wow, that's just beautiful.
That pine cone
This
is kind of
really
trippy.
nice.
I use my fingerprint. I use my thumbprint as each of the pine cone scales.
Oh, this one here?
Yeah,
Oh,
the one
that's
in the center. Because the theme of that was patterns. So I took the pattern of my thumbprint and I tweaked it a little bit so no one can steal it and create a crime online with my thumbprint.
Good that you mentioned that part.
Eyes out there. You
Well,
can tell I have family-in-law, so.
Oh, look at these butterflies. Oh, I love it. Oh, and this must be your Dia de los Muertos stuff.
Yeah, I love that's a huge. I love it. It's part of me. I love Dia de los Muertos art.
Okay, I have to call this one out because I remember seeing it and being a little bit creeped out, and then thought, wow, that's so cool. I love it. So tell us the story behind this one.
That was, I saw over on the side that Cindy donates pieces to auctions and things like that, and I think that's a great way to get the connections, like you said, and I do the same thing. I donate, I've been teased that I kind of probably give too much away, but it's my way of giving back, but I can't financially, so I can offer my art and hopefully help those causes. So this was for an auction oh gosh, you're putting me on the spot. Anyway, it's a local group, and the theme was to help women who have been through abuse and how they have survived and moved on beyond the abuse. So this snake it's shedding its skin for transformation, and it was abuse and surviving diseases like cancer. So you can see the little scale on his mouth is the little pink breast cancer ribbon.
Right. So that's just beautiful, and that's the inner beauty of the person. They're not their disease, they're not their abuse, they're not their history.
And the snakes are just, I know people have an aversion to snakes, but I do not. I'm one of those people that gets very excited when snake shows up in my dreams or wherever, so because it's highly symbolic.
They're symbols of healing.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at the medical staff is two snakes.
Yeah.
And these are some more of my favorite things.
Oh, Leilani, can I mention real quick, I know we're really close on time, my creative release with the avocado picture.
Oh, sure.
That's my other attempt to get myself out there in a slightly anonymous way, but not so much when they track down the picture. I created this group. It's inspired by Rosa Maria, who started Found Art Tuesday, and it's a collection of artists who will create their art, no matter what it is, and leave it in public places for people to find. It's also called guerrilla art. I've heard that term, guerrilla art, but this is on a smaller scale. And that's what a lot of those images were, the pieces that I've created and have left behind for others to find. And the one that's in the picture there is the only one that has been reported found. And it was way up high on a trail in the mountains, and the hiker found it.
Oh, that's awesome. And you leave your name on it so they can.
That project.
And then you leave your information on it. They can contact you and let you know they found it or something.
Yeah, I only leave the I'll sign my name, but I'll leave the Facebook page, because I don't want people to feel like it's a stunt, a publicity stunt, or
right.
You know, I don't want that feeling with it. I just want, oh my gosh, you found some art, how cool. If you want it, take it home with you, you know. So I try to keep it as low key, because honestly that's the feeling I want to go with it. It's just a serendipitous, you know, find.
And here we have you on cafepress.com /Michelle Hedgecock. So if people want to buy a piece of your art online, they can come here, and these are mostly smaller pieces. Is that correct? Easy to...
I primarily created that for the journals. You can get my images on journals, and that was to piggyback with SoulCollage, because you need a journal for SoulCollage. And then from there you can get them on tote bags. You know, it's one of those places where you can get your image printed on,
right. Put on
note cards, pillows, tote bags, magnets, whatever. So there's a few there, but primarily I created that for the journals.
So if you're dying to have a piece of Michelle Hedgecock art, go to cafepress.com/Michelle Hedgecock, and there's all kinds of nifty things there. Now you're also on Pinterest, which is a great forum for artists. And by the way, Cindy is a Pinterest superstar.
I'm gonna have to find all of Cindy's websites and pages and follow the heck out of her.
Yeah, we will do that too. So let me go ahead and turn that off. We are right up at 10 o'clock. Darn, this hour went way too fast. But thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and thank you especially to Michelle, our special guest. Is there any last message that you would like to leave before I do the sign-off?
I thank you immensely for having me on as a guest and for all your help, and I just want people to just treat themselves to their creative side, make it part of their daily lives in any way you can.
Okay, awesome. And if you are a local to the Coachella Valley and you want to join us at a Soul Collage workshop, go online to Meetup and search for Desert Soul Collage. Cindy, how about yourself? Is there anything you'd like to promote or lesson you'd like to leave us with before I sign off?
Just echo a lot of what Michelle said, that everybody has a creativity spark in them. Everybody has an inner artist, and just to let her go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm going to ask both of you Renaissance ladies to please leave the links for all your great stuff in the event listing and let people know where they can find you. And oh boy, you know what? I better check the Q&A one more time too. Okay. It's more from Katie. Cindy's right on being tactile. It's why to be good at shows. And she also says that in today's world, being online via social media, blogs, and website, you do want to convey your story, and it's a way to get your work all over the world. And actually, sorry I'm going to end just a little bit late today, but I want to show this off. I'm going to go ahead and show the catsglassdesign.com website as well, because their stuff is just so beautiful. Look at that.
You do want to go up and see that in person. You know, that's like the perfect example. The pictures work because they draw you in, and now I want to see it in person, you know?
Right. And they're really fun because they have a great little video here, but I see a lot of pictures of Bernard when he's creating the glass. And that's one of the things that I think is such a great interest builder in online artists. And Michelle, you did a great job of that with your Lemon Lily Festival banner, because we were seeing, oh, here's the wing of the moth, oh, here's the first base layer of color, and you were showing us the process, but what that did was got us all interested in, oh, I can't wait to see it when it's done, I can't wait to see it when it's done. So then when you unveiled that picture of the banner actually hanging up, everybody was like, ooh, it's so awesome, and all excited, but you really built a lot.
I'm glad to hear that, because sometimes I'm like, how do people really care about this part?
Yeah, yes, we do, we do. Okay, so now we're a little bit after. I'm going to have to sign off. Thank you, everybody out there, for joining us. Thank you for your questions. Please come back again in 2 weeks on Friday, June 20th, 9 o'clock a.m. The topic is going to be women's empowerment groups, help or hindrance. I was thinking about this a lot because I see a lot of women's empowerment groups, and I thought, oh, great, I'm going to join these, and it's going to be a lot of wonderful business women who are sharing their business tips, which will empower me to be a better businesswoman because I'll be learning so much. And as I joined, and this happened over and over again, it ended up being really like 95% you can do it, motivation, give yourself permission, you know, rah-rah cheerleading, and very little actual tools for going to do it. And I thought, well, at what point does it go from empowerment to crutch? You know what I mean? Women still aren't getting paid as much as men, and in some business circles, we're not being considered as really seriously as men. And is it because we're out there saying, yes, you can do it, while the men are out there actually doing it? So women's empowerment groups, they sound wonderful. I want to talk about the pros and the cons and what makes it become actually empowering, and when does it become a bit of a crutch. So anybody who's out there who's a life coach or either an empowered woman who has a group that is actually providing the business tools and things that empower women. And I want to hear from the other side, group owners who their groups are mostly motivation and they're just giving a lot of motivation to keep it going. What are the pros? What are the cons? Please come have this discussion with us. And that will be on Friday, June 20th, right here on the TGIF Business Networking Hangout. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.